Comprehensive sex education can promote healthy sexual behaviors, responsible decision-making, and respectful relationships. However, some hold the opinion that early sex education contributes to moral decadence in the society. Hello, televiewers of Divine Mercy Radio Television. This is Issues Coming Your Way, and today we look at early sex education. Our panelists will be joining us to discuss on the morals of sex education and also to highlight some of the consequences of zero sex education on our children. Stay tuned and join us in the conversation as the program unfolds. We shall be right back after the break. Beautiful people of Divine Mercy Radio Television, once again you're welcome to the live broadcast of Issues on Divine Mercy Radio Television. On this edition of the program, we are delighted to welcome our panelists on set. And to begin with, I shall be welcoming in a very special way veteran journalist of the CRTV, Ma-Ann Munjong. Mami, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
It's a pleasure having you on this edition of the program. And Ma-Ann Munjong, as you all know, is the producer of Voices for Women on CRTV. That's a program that has stood the test of time, and we really appreciate the good works of Mami Ann Munjong. We are also welcoming on set today Mrs. Agbotabot Rita Takem, and she is the manager of Morok Mika Memorial Academy, which is located at Santa Barbara, and she is also the founder of Local Actions for Equality and Peace Building. Madam, good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, and you're welcome. Just to highlight that last week we had a program here where we're discussing some of the factors that contributes to moral decay in our society, and we had a contribution which said that early sex education is one of those factors that contribute to moral decay in the community. First of all, I would like to find out from my panelists if they agree on this opinion. Mami Ann Munjong.
Thank you again, Brabel. I don't think it's really right to say that moral education or sex education contributes to moral decadence. On the contrary, I think that it helps if we start telling them early about sex education.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
All right, that's the opinion of Ma-Ann Munjong. Madam Rita, what's your opinion on that?
Okay, I also want to disagree with the fact that early sex education contributes to moral decadence. On the contrary, it helps to curb moral decadence.
Thank you so much. So I also agree, or I disagree, sorry. I disagree with the opinion that early sex education contributes to moral decay. Now, let us explain ourselves as the program unfolds. Mommy, can you just begin by letting our audience understand the concept of sex education?
Yeah, sex education is just a way of giving information to people, not necessarily children, about their sexuality and how they should use their bodies and be able to manage their physique well, so that they get useful knowledge concerning their whole system, their body, and how it is going around. So I think it is a very common concept that many people should know about, because when people hear sex education, they think that you're teaching the child about sex. Sex education is to make the child understand that as you are growing bigger, your whole physique is changing. Most parts in their body are changing, and you need to manage them well, so that you can have a better relationship. You can make better choices, like a young girl or a young boy. So basically, that's the broad concept of sex education. It's not necessarily telling children that you have to know about. The word sex scare people most of the time.
Exactly.
That's what makes parents to feel shy to talk to their children. But I think it's a good concept that we should explore to help our children to know their physique and know themselves and know how they can gain useful information and be able to manage their system.
Now, Madam Rita, what has been your experience over time when it comes to sex education and how people look at it?
Okay, I would just like to cue in with Ma Ann. The term sex education has a misconception by many persons, including even our parents. One of the reasons why you see parents shy away from talking to their children about sex education, because they have the conception that it's all about love making. I think that is the misconception: sex education and love making. That's what parents feel. But I'm going to go with the definition of WHO, which says that sex education is simply a comprehensive program that is tailored towards teaching individuals. It may not necessarily be students. Teaching individuals, it could even be teaching a particular community, you know. Sometimes when you notice a community having such an, maybe many youths are getting pregnant and all of that, you can devise a small curriculum to train the persons in this community on how to go about teaching sex education to their children. So WHO holds the fact that sex education is that comprehensive program which is tailored towards teaching individuals on the beliefs, the myths, the practices that has to do with bodily autonomy, and it engulfs so many different topics which has to do with body autonomy. As she said, you can teach a child how to take care of their bodies. That is sex education. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be intercourse. We also teach them how to give in their consent. This is a very important aspect which, when it is missing, we know that we are doomed. You know, you start teaching children even at the age of 4 and 5 that it is okay to say no, or for them to be able to identify malpractices that has to do with their bodily autonomy. So the importance of sex education is to help individuals make informed decisions about their sexuality. When and when not to have sex, consent for sex, sexually transmitted infections, how to protect them and all of that. So it is a whole embodiment of itself. It's not only about sexual intercourse.
Thank you so much for that comprehensive definition of sex education. Now I want us to look at the moral of sex education. Ma Ann Munjong.
The moral of sex education is very important because, just like Rita said, you know, it's a comprehensive package. It touch on a person, it touch on a community, it touch on everybody. So I think the moral that comes with it is that if you teach somebody about her or his own body and how he should manage it, the person will now start learning how to manage the body very well and know what to do and what to say. Because like I said, I was just coming from a PTA meeting that brought together parents and the students of upper 6 and form 5, and those are the adolescent ages. And one man was giving a talk on moral education and was telling the students, sex education actually, I was telling them that if you manage it very well, you grow up to be a very responsible man or woman. So there are lots of morals that come with sex education, but it is most of the time misconstrued by the children or by the individuals around. And like Rita said, most of us, the parents, we are the first to misconstrue it because we think that if I tell my child about sex, I'm telling the child to go and have intercourse with somebody. No, it's completely free. Instead, you tell that child, because one mama stood up there and said, you should be a child that you will tell your parents that this person is chatting me. This one is talking to me. This one is, if that child is a good child and start telling you, then it means that child wanted to teach her sex education and what he or she should know before taking a stand on whoever is standing around. So I think the moral of it is that it helps students, especially the young ones, to understand themselves and can prevent sexually transmittable diseases, early pregnancies, and many other negative things that come with the body. That's why in primary school, there's a song that they teach little girls, especially girls. So if you touch my body, I will tell. If you touch my body, I will tell it to my daddy, to my mommy. That song is already part of sex education. So you can use different ways to teach your children sex education, then it brings in the morals. Because like my little grandma was saying, but Grandma, why do you think this person touched me, or this I should tell?
Yeah.
Then he opened up. They started talking.
Discussion.
They started talking. So, you know, those things, schools are helping us a lot to make us parents to teach our children the morals that come with sex education. So I think it's very good, and we should go for that.
And and it is said that the education begins at home.
Exactly.
And what you have noted right now is just to tell us so that sometimes we the parents allow the teachers to do the job for us, and which often our children should start getting that from us at home, and so that the teachers in school should complement. Now, you spoke about sex education, very important, and you noted that most especially for the girls. Madam Rita, can you just tell us why it is important for all of them, but most especially for the girl child? Can you give us why, the reason behind that?
Okay, basically that's simply because girls are more vulnerable than boys. Okay. You know, just like we had a discussion before you came in. A Form 1 student gets impregnated by a Form 5 student. And the Form 1 student, who is a girl, gets dismissed from school, and the boy is kept in school. So you see that at a certain level, we understand the conception of girls being more vulnerable than boys, but then there is need to integrate the boys into this conversation. Because if you keep telling girls, oh, you don't have to get pregnant, you don't have to get into early sex, and yet you don't tell the boys will soon become abusers, because the boys should also get involved in this conversation to know that when a girl says no, it is okay to understand that no means no. But if you keep these boys away from this conversation, of course, we are going to be grooming our girls, but yet we'll be forgetting about the abusers. And so we'll be increasing the number of abusers in the society. So instead of even having consensual sex, we are going to have an increase in the number of rape cases. Yes, so I feel that both boys and girls need this education. We don't have to separate them.
Okay.
Yes. And that's what we do in the primary school. We have topics like sex education in class 1. And we know that in Cameroon schools now, though the government says class 1 is 6 years of age, we have children who are 4 and 5 years old in class 1. Yeah. Now you are expected to teach them on sexually transmitted infections. How do you introduce such a topic to children? Okay, you start telling them you don't have to
that's a difficult one.
Yes, for a 4-year-old. And so the pedagogy we use in the primary school is mostly through storytelling. Sometimes you create imaginary stories. You know, you just bring up a story of a little girl who was being touched by the uncle. So you start making them to understand that, hey, it is not right for my uncle to touch. That's when they will even open up to you and start telling you, no, but uncle used to touch my breast. Uncle used to tell me to sit on his laps and he's shaking on the chair. You know, so we use diverse pedagogy to introduce sex education to children. So sometimes parents find it very offensive. I remember one of my parents who came to school to report the fact that she saw the reproductive organ of a female in her child's book, that is class 4, that she's not happy. What is the teacher teaching her child? Then I said, come. She came, I had to open the curriculum and I showed her, and I told her that you cannot teach such a topic without opening up to these children, because they will keep asking you questions. You know, most children nowadays, most children are very inquisitive, so they'll tell you, what is reproductive system? But you say sexually transmitted, what's the meaning of sexually? You now start explaining that when a male organ, what is male organ? It is a penis. What is penis, you know? So one question leads to the other. So you must be able to dramatize this lesson in the most possible way. And also in the primary, most of them learn a lot through music. It sticks a lot. What Ma Ann talked about, My Body Belongs to Me, it is their best song. And I think that we have succeeded using that. We have had uncles abusing their nieces and nephews in the house. Yes. And when we say that even boys need this education, nowadays the table is changing. we understand that most uncles are now getting into young boys.
Yeah.
Yes. And so if you leave out this group of persons or these boys from sexuality education, they may not be able to even identify when they have been abused.
Exactly.
Because most of these uncles promise them heaven and earth and tell them, let me just do this. This is the right thing to do. But you don't have to tell mom, you don't have to tell daddy when it is the wrong thing. So if you engage your child in sex education, especially at the level of the home, for us mothers, I really don't know what is happening. But sometimes we really abandon these aspects.
Yeah.
We are shy to
We
talk
are very
about
shy
this
to talk about it
to our children because we are for one, I'm always scared of the unknown. Like my 14-year-old son, I'm like, if I want to ask him, why is this pimple? Sometimes I'm using so many canny ways, but I can talk to other children, you know. But with my son, it becomes challenging.
Yes.
Why is there this pimple on your face? When we're growing up, we used to hear that when you have a pimple,
You
it means
mean
a
that you're
girl
falling
loves
in
you.
love.
And he's like, hey, mommy, stop this. And I keep telling myself, God help me. I need to find a way to talk to my son. I talk to other children. Then it becomes challenging to talk to my son for fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
What if he starts asking me, so is this how I was born? So it means, you know, putting in a perception in their head when they were not even thinking about that.
Exactly.
So it is very, very important for us to talk to the children. Even during Bible studies, we hear of family discussions. Sex education can be introduced during family discussions. You can create a story, a very beautiful story, to ignite maybe your teenager who is at home, because once these ladies when they become teenagers, they become sexually active.
Yeah.
And it is better for us to give them the right information through sex education. If not, they are going to get misconceptions from their friends. And we know the influence of a peer group influence. Whatever your friend tells you, at the age of 18, you don't have a boyfriend. That's an abomination.
Exactly.
You know. And then before you know, your daughter gets pregnant and she says it was just the first time, simply because that child
wanted to belong and
didn't have proper education on that. It is better for us to give them the right information through sex education than to allow them to get the wrong information from their friends.
And Madam Rita, like you rightly said, today we are caught in a web because our children, they go to school, the kind of discussions they have with their friends in school, you cannot really have control over it. Sometimes what they watch on TV, you can have minimal control over what they watch, but it has the way it is, it's just the society in which we find ourselves. When we're growing up, I can remember it was difficult for our parents to really open up to us at a certain age, but now they're saying that as early as possible, it is good for us to start educating our children, tell them about sex education. Now let us look at what is the appropriate age for us to start talking about sex education, because there are times when most of us, like pregnant women, you see the little boy will run to you and say, "Mommy, why do you have a baby in your tummy?" You know, yes. And how did that appear in your tummy? How did you get this baby in your tummy?
That's always the most
you are tongue-tied.
Part.
You cannot really say anything. And how does the baby come out? How would the baby leave your tummy? So you find it very difficult to explain to your children. So, Mommy, you're here with us. What is the appropriate age for us to start talking about this sex education to our children?
There's no appropriate age. As Rita has said, as early as possible. You know, the media too has come to amplify everything.
Yeah.
Because by the time you even start trying to play around, that this baby in my stomach, I had but this, I did but that, the child said, no, I know it. You know, when the child says, I know it, then you can come in now and talk with the child. How do you know it?
Yeah.
And how did you get the information? From there, you can know the source of the child's information and know whether the child is following up, whether somebody is giving the child information or the child just follow. Because for this, there are cartoons that they have those things.
Exactly.
They
You
put them
have
there.
cartoons kissing.
Kissing.
Yes.
You see them. You see cartoons kissing. You see cartoons pregnant. You see cartoons delivering. So the children learn all those things from this. So as early as the age that the child can understand, you just start talking. You start talking. You know, because when I talk, I always go back to my little granny because, you know, she was so small. She's growing big now and she's developing small breasts. Yeah. You know, and then I looked at her and said, see, you're developing breasts already. Then she laughed. For her, she's just dancing around the whole thing. I said, when you're developing breasts, it means that you're getting matured. The good thing is that she's in the house with other elder sisters, that she sees what they do. I say, as you start developing breasts like this, just know that you're getting to a woman.
Yeah.
And when you get to a woman, there are many things that can happen. We don't have boys in this house, but you can have friends who influence you to, you see, even your friend touching your breast is wrong. Don't allow your friend to touch your breast, because it belongs to you, just like you say. And then, you know, because I mean, that look at that age, I'm finding it difficult to to really talk. But when I get to one point, she is the one who came and told me that I went to school and one boy wrote a note and came and put on my table that I love you. You know what I mean? So I said, so what did you do? He said, I took it to my teacher. I said, that was good. So what did the teacher do? The teacher reprimanded the child, the boy, a little boy, that never do that again. Don't ever do it again. But you see the age, I see, you know, what is love? What is love? So, you know, as Rita says, we should not focus more on the girls and forget about the boys. Most of the boys are very mischievous, and there are those who always mislead the girls.
Experimental.
Look at, I was telling you that from 5 boys just impregnated from 1 child. You look at, you can, like a parent say, okay, take care of, you're going to that same school, take care of my little girl. With all honesty and confidence and open mind that this is an elder brother, he will take care of the girl, of the little girl. But see what the boy did. He used, you know, he used the girl like, I don't know how to put it. And now the little girl is pregnant. So you see, we have to say it to our children. When a boy start telling you that, I want us to do this, do that, come back and see your parents. A good child, or an elder sister, or elder brother. Now this is what this guy is doing. He's saying this to me. What do you think I can do? They will tell you, your parents will tell you that that boy wants to deceive you. If you go and sleep with that boy, you can get pregnant. You can get STIs. You just say the negative things that come with sex for a little child. Early pregnancies, you know, they force you to marriage because you got pregnant at that age. That's when you can come in and talk. That's when the girl is adolescent. But these toddlers, when they watch that cartoon, they come and ask us, let us tell them the real story, or tell her that, let me go and sit and watch what you are watching. Then you watch that from that cartoon, you cannot explain things to that little one who is like 4 or 5 years. Explain when the little boy is also sitting there. Don't leave the boy there, go and sit down. I want to talk to both of them and give them the disadvantages of fondling with your body at a very tender age. Then you have to grow and get to a certain age, then you are matured. Then you can start thinking about those things that those cartoons are doing, because the cartoons have helped to demoralize many of our little children. You hear what they say, you ask to say, where did you get it? I got it from the TV. Cartoon, I got it from my cartoon. They even give you the names of the cartoon. So, you know, we are in a web, just like you say, but we should start talking as soon as they start asking us questions. It's very important. When they ask, are you a frank? What women like, mommy.
Yes, they start saying that there's something behind.
Exactly.
What is mommy hiding?
Exactly. But say it as it is. You are pregnant. I'm pregnant because I'm married. Because I have a husband. You know, you cannot start thinking about pregnancy now when you are not even grown up. Okay? Make that child to understand that she will get to your age or to your state when it is right. Don't say, go and sit down. Who asked you to ask that kind of question? The TV is teaching the child.
Sometimes you just tell them, I'm working on something. You just find yourself very busy at that point in time because you lack words to explain.
I don't have time. I will talk to you later. Let's not postpone it. Let's say it as it is.
Address it at the right time.
Yes, at the right time. It's very important. When you do it, a very smart child will understand it. I will not ask you that question next time, but we'll try to prevent and work on the lines that you have given him or her to work on. That's why they will come back and report that this uncle was touching me. That auntie was telling me that I should do this. We have children like that who have reported their relations because of what we were playing around with them. And then make your children to understand that there's nothing that if you report that will kill you.
That will kill you.
Because that's always the language. If you report, you will die.
You will die.
Make them to understand that there's nothing that you can report and they will kill you. There's nothing. They're just deceiving you. So say the right thing. I think that's the only way we can try to help.
Thank you so much, Mama. Now, I want to know who are those who are responsible, the actors of sex education. I read an article where in a school in Nigeria, sex education was banned in school, and with the impression that, or with the reason that sex education should be left for the parents at home to commence with sex education and carry it till the end. So, Madam Rita, I don't know your opinion on who are those who should be at the forefront of sex education.
Okay. Before I say anything on that, I would just like to react on the article you read. Probably we have to look at the cultural perception of where that school is located. Because we know that in some cultures, it is a taboo to talk about sex to children who are young. Yes, it's a taboo. And so we must respect that. So if a school is found around such a locality, as an administrator, you should know that that is a no-no.
Yeah.
You don't have to introduce sex education to such children. To me, I feel that sex education is the duty of everyone. Everybody should be involved. The students, parents, religious authorities, school administrators, guidance counselors, curriculum designers. Because I will tell you one thing, one of the problems I have with sex education in the primary school is that it is too vague. So much so that some teachers too shy away from the topic. When it comes to that, they are like, how do I start telling a class 1 child to avoid sexually transmitted infections? They start asking me too many questions. Before you know it, they are going to forget about that topic. Reproductive organ, people are like, how do I start telling children about the penis? And you see that while you are marking lesson notes, teachers avoid such topics because they do not know how to reproduce this information to the learners. So I feel that the curriculum designers too have a problem, you know. As actors into this, when they are designing a curriculum based on sex education, they must ensure that they get NGOs or INGOs who are professionals in this, in curriculum designs, when it has to do with sex education. I think most schools are even using that strategy where they invite civil society organizations to come in and give out talks. I know Women for a Change Cameroon, that I worked with for so many years. Women for a Change has a curriculum called Comprehensive Sexuality Education. This is delivered to students in secondary schools from September to June. So it is a whole curriculum which is being followed every Wednesday for about 2 hours. Okay. This is what was done in most schools in Douala and Yaoundé. You know, so when there is a curriculum as such, you are sure that even a guidance counselor can pick up this curriculum and be able to deliver the lesson because you are being told how to do it, when to do it, the right choices of words to use at what level. And so, talking about actors, to me, I feel that all of us are involved.
Yep.
At the level of our homes, as parents, we have to begin sexuality education, but it is challenging for us mothers. I think for mothers who are watching us, they will come to terms with the fact that sometimes it's not about telling your child or waiting until the child starts menstruating.
Yeah, before then you start telling the child about menses.
You get the point. Just like Ma Ann said, at the level of the nursery school, these children become very sensitive. And then they are also at risk, like I talked about vulnerability, especially the young boys and girls, or I'll call them babies or children, who live with single parents. I remember while I was the head teacher in one of the schools in Moliko, we had a child who came to school, you know, these plank classrooms. He would burst through and then be sending his mouth and telling another child in the next class to send her mouth. That is a 4-year-old we are talking about. Now, you may feel that it is too early to talk to a 4-year-old about sex education.
But that's a 4-year-old practicing
yes.
what you don't want to tell the 4-year-old about.
We have another 4-year-old who went home and told the mother that I am in love. And the mother came to school and said, Madam, I am dying. My son says he's in love. I said, yes, we have been hearing that in school. But we cannot call a parent to tell the parent that this is what your child is saying. We are trying at our level to manage this situation. I am in love. I have the love of my life in my class. And the child told the parents, you know. So at a certain point, the parents were like, what is happening? How can our son say so? They want to see the girl who has put ideas in the sunset. And then when they came to school, I went and brought the child. You are in love? Yes. How can you say we are in love? In church, they said we should love our brothers and sisters. So you now understand. Meanwhile, the parents had already taken this to another level. So we must also watch the choices of words that we use on our children. And most often, I try to talk to parents it is very, very, very important for you to check on your child every day after school.
Yeah.
Even if you are not at home, just make that call. How was it today? Did anything happen? Is there anything you want to share with me? Did any problem, even if it didn't happen with your child, it happened with another child.
person.
Exactly.
The fact that you start encouraging your child to report incidences in school, you are a bit safe. Though children too are mischievous. Yes, so at times you may not understand. Maybe your child start having, and if you are observant enough, when your child starts having a partner, you would know at home. The child becomes shy. Even the child who was running around naked will start telling you, no, mommy,
Start
don't enter
covering-
my room. Please, don't come to my
Start
room.
covering the hair,
Yes.
the breast, and everything.
They start making phone calls, you know. Worst of it now, we have children in Form 1. Last week we were here and we were told that there are parents who say their children must have cell phones in school.
I'm telling
They
you.
start covering themselves under their blankets, spending long hours on
Yeah.
telephone call, text messages. You sit in a family gathering and then somebody is always smiling and smiling and smiling. Without
don't know why.
Yes, you don't know why the child is smiling.
The child
So
is
those are tricks that once these children start doing it, as a parent, you must become
Must be
inquisitive. What is
observant.
happening? Tell me. But we should not wait for these children to inform us. There are basics that we need to tell our kids. For example, during family devotions, you can always narrate Bible stories. You know, I remember a child in my school asked me, but the Bible says that Mary was a virgin. This is a class 6 child. You know, now we have IDP, so we have even up to 17-year-olds
In class 6.
6. But madam, they said Mary was
a
a virgin.
virgin.
How
How
did she get
come?
pregnant? I was like, what? What even brought this conversation? Why did this child think? So I understood that this child probably has a relationship or what. And when I called him, he said, yes, madam, in Moyoka, all of us in our class, we had our girlfriends in class. And I was like, wow, now this is a threat to the kids that we
Who are
have here.
there.
Because
Exactly.
he will want to introduce what he learned
From somewhere.
over there.
Sure.
Yes. And so we took it upon ourselves to be doing counseling with our children. You don't have, no friend will tell you anything good. Only your teacher or your mother and father at home. Sometimes even uncles and aunties, like I said, they are really a threat to these kids. Because a lot of them abuse our, you will say, this is my child's godfather, this is my child's godmother. Have you investigated what this godfather and godmother
What
do
they
with your
do.
child in your absence?
Yeah.
Have you ever taken time to question this child? So we need to really, really be careful. And as actors, we are all responsible. Like I talked about moral decadence, we are all responsible. Parents must be blamed. Everyone must be blamed. And being actors, all of us, it is, I mean, a decision that we just need to be conscious. We want to do this. We want to start up sex education. I know that most churches to look at it like a taboo.
Taboo, yeah.
But like we've said, there is a misconception on the term sex,
Sex
education.
education.
It is not only about sexual intercourse. There are many topics that have to do with sex education. Yes, and so if the children get misinformed, then we see that we are doomed. For example, a child knows that it's a taboo not to have sex by the age of 12. We know that there are small groups of children in the quarters. You know, when you are off for work or you're sleeping
You
and then
don't
your
know-
child is
yeah,
hanging around with
around
neighbors, you
them.
don't even know what they're
What they
discussing.
discuss.
And so a child will tell you, madam, they said that I'm a social misfit. Because I don't have a boyfriend. They said, why should I be in Form 5?
I
We
don't
learned of
have
a
a
boarding
girlfriend.
school where students take exit, they go and get a hotel room and they make love and they got pregnant while they were in the dormitory. They have never gone on a outing or whatever, but the students got
They were pregnant.
And when they wanted to investigate, they saw that these students only took exit from school. So
I'm
the school
telling you.
authorities did not know that was what was happening. They took an exit from school. The guy went and rented a hotel room. The girl too went and took an exit. Went and met the guy in the hotel room. They had their affair.
Wow.
You know. So as a parent, you know that, oh, when I send my child to school, I'm done with that school. The principal and the teachers should manage the stress for a year. But your daughter comes home with pregnancy. And it always falls back on the
On
girls.
the girls, yeah.
You know, it falls back on the girls because this girl, of course, will be expelled from school.
Sure.
And this guy, or she will have to give birth, you know. And then this guy will further his education and then continue. And if you are not very careful, that may be the end of that girl's life. Because some parents sometimes are really bitter, like, why did you get pregnant? That's the end. You will never go to school.
And it ends like that.
And it ends like that. So we have seen that a lot of teenage mothers are suffering. That's why we talk about the vulnerability
Of
of
the
girls.
girl child.
Because at the end of it, the impact is felt mostly on the girls than the boys. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We have just noted that times are changing and we must not be left behind. We should also move according to the changes of time. And we are still talking about the actors of sex education, and what our guests have highlighted so strongly is that everyone is involved. But there's one thing with parents, it's a little bit challenging. Ma and Mujong, I don't know the advice you're going to give to us, especially the mothers, because I know the fathers, I've hardly seen a father talking about sex education to the child, but we have dads who are doing that. But how can we move from this level of being shy to overcome it and doing the right thing for the good of our children?
No, it is very important, and it also indicated that times are changing. Yeah. So must change the narrative, because formerly, most parents think that bringing up the children is the responsibility of the mother most of the times. Yeah. It is. But we are saying that looking at the challenging times now, the fathers have to come in. There are some children that when their father talks to them, they listen more. And they know that that's my father talking to me. But when their mother talks, it's like a child's play. Mama is just joking. Mama is not serious, you know? But we are saying that if the mother and the father talk together, the child will take it more seriously. There are also single parents. If we talk more, zero down to single parents. I've realized that most of the time, single parents even bring up their children stronger than couples. Yeah. Because there are some single mothers that are so strong that they tell their children that you must toe the line and go this way, and they go. What am I saying? I'm saying that, you know, this issue of sex education, we should not keep it till when it gets to a point that we cannot even come up on it, because when the girl child is already pregnant, you cannot start telling her again about sex education. She's already into
She knows it better.
She knows it better. And she's already into the act. So you cannot even tell her anything. So what I would just propose to parents is that let us take the responsibility of bringing up our children better. Often we are too busy with other things and forget about the welfare of our children. Just like Rita was saying, there are some parents that their children go to school for one full week, they don't find out to see whether what was taught in school, how was school today, show me your notes, let me see. I keep referring to the meeting that we had, that the teacher said, there are some children that come to class, they don't copy notes. They just stay there and making noise, at the end of the day they go there.
They go home.
And then towards the end, that they're writing is that they go and steal books from other children that know that they're writing notes. Yeah. There are those recalcitrant children like that. So what we can do is that every day at least in a week, not every day, in a week you can ask to see the notes of your children, like twice or thrice a week. When the child realizes that you're asking to see the notes, that child will sit up. And the child will know that I have to copy my notes. I have to do this assignment. I have to follow up on my classes. Because my father is strict. Yeah. You'll follow me on this. So what I just tell parents is that, you know, let us not be shy. And let us take up our responsibility like parents. The children are really getting, like what one madam said, that the D generation or whatever. But you know that there are children who are also good. There are children that families don't have problems with them. Yeah. Because they are responsible. They know why they are going to school.
Exactly.
And those kind of children, you can pay your children on that kind of children. If you know a good child who is morally upright, who we cannot say that they are 100%. You can pair your child with that kind of child and say, learn from your friend. See what your friend is doing. But there are parents who don't even care. As I said, they don't even bother. You know, even the other time I saw a parent that came to arrest somebody who beat the child because the child, they were fighting with cutlasses on the road. And an elder person to those children came and beat them up. They were even fighting with cutlasses on the road. This is bad and it's dangerous.
It's wild.
But the parent of the other child went and brought a convocation to lock up the boy who came to correct them. You know, what are you telling the child? What morals are you giving to the child? So we as parents, I'm just appealing, let's create some little time to talk to our children. Let's create some time to spend with our children. Even if you are as busy as when you come back from that market that you have been the whole day, when you sit in the kitchen, call the child to come. Boy or girl, You put talk. How was the day today? How was this? There was a few weeks I was very angry with my granny because she's like my friend. And I was not talking to her. She knows that when she comes back from school, I must ask her, come, Mama, how was school today? What were you taught today? Have you done your homework? But for like 2 or 3 days, I did not ask her any question. I bothered her. It disturbed her. That what is wrong that my grandma is not asking me this question?
She used to
ask. It disturbed her a lot. And so I think one of the bigger girls through that grandma is angry with you because of this. She came and told me, Grandma, I'm very sorry. I did not know that I offended you. I said, why you are not be asking me about school? You don't want to know what I'm doing. You know, make it a routine so that when you don't do it, the child will ask you what is happening and will tell you what is happening in school. From a very little age, just cultivate that attitude of being friendly with your children, boys or girls, and they will talk to you and can bring up a better society.
Thank you so much, Madam Anne Munjong. And I think that parents, what we are noting here is that parents do have the assignment to teach their children sex education. You have to find a way. We go online all the time. What do we go to search for online? These are some of the areas that we need to empower ourselves, because it's challenging, like Madam Rita also noted, but we must strategize if we have to help our children and also help ourselves. Let us take this message coming in, which says that with the involvement of the internet, we have so many smart ones. Sex education should be introduced in our schools and in the society as early as 5 years and above, so that they understand the concepts and the risk of disease such as STIs, and also reduces stigma and shame with an honest discussion, especially to our children at school. Most of these children believe in their teachers more than their parents, and I believe primary school is the basement for education, but a lot happens. They want to explore their environment, so it is better to introduce it as early as possible. This is coming from Christine in Mutengene. Christine, thank you so much for your contribution. Well noted. Now I want us to look at we are all shying away, majority of us, be it in school, like Madam Rita noted, be it in school or at home, we shy away from sex education. But it is also good for us to understand the consequences of zero sex education on our children. I'll begin with you, Madam Rita.
Okay. Looking at the effects of zero sex education, for example, in the primary school, like our sister has just commented, we see that our children will become less informed. And when they get less informed, of course, they will want to get information from whoever is ready to give them. And so you have these uncles and aunties who promise them. I would share a little story. Some time ago, along one of the government schools in Bokwango, we only heard of a situation where a certain taxi driver comes and parks his taxi every day during break. That's what the teachers had noted, but they didn't bother to find out why this one is always here at 11 o'clock. You know, it's not their business. Not until one of the children in class 6, this happened last year, got pregnant. And so we're being asked, what do they need to do? This child doesn't have a mom, she doesn't have anyone, and they were contemplating on having an abortion because when they contacted him, he said they should have an abortion. And I was like, oh, so he knows that there is this option of abortion. And he had been telling this girl many stories. She was taking like a nanny in a home where she didn't have peace. And so this driver would come and give her solace and bring her nice things, and so she was motivated to
him as a source of comfort.
As a source of comfort and happiness, and that is how she felt for this man. So if we don't give these children comprehensive sexuality education in schools, they are going to have comprehensive sexuality education out of school, which is what they are going to believe in. You know, so one of the effects of zero sex education on children is misinformation. Yes. Secondly, we are going to have an increase in the number of sexually transmitted diseases. Imagine that you have primary school children who are recorded of HIV and AIDS. Not that they were born with HIV and AIDS, but they contracted HIV and AIDS because they didn't know how to have this information. Of course, by the time we are teaching them sexuality education in the primary school, we don't tell them how to get into safe sex. You can't tell a primary school child to get into safe sex. Of course, we educate them on not having sex, so delayed sex, because they are not yet of the rightful age. So you just tell them. I remember while we were growing up, our parents would tell us that if a man touches you, you're going to get pregnant.
If you sit on a man's lap,
yes, you
get pregnant.
So at a certain point in time, if you see that the child is asking so many questions, you may just come in with such an information so that that child grows up. Yes, the child is going to have a mixture of ideas when he or she gets to Form 1, because we know that Form 1 children are adults, you know. Yes, Form 1 children now are adults. When they go to school, they get just what their friends tell them. So in order for us to avoid this, we must be able to educate our children early enough so that they don't fall prey to these diseases. Also, increase in the number of unwanted pregnancies for sure. Yes, when you don't educate a child of delayed sex or using safe measures, of course they are going to have unwanted pregnancies, and we know the consequence of unwanted pregnancies: school dropouts, and it also contributes to our poverty cycle, because in some cases when a child drops out from school, especially with middle income parents, they are unable to even fend for themselves. How come an additional baby in the family? And so you just become a burden to the entire family. Sometimes they may just baggage that young girl and take to the village. That's what most parents do. Say we cannot cope. Yes, and then they force you into marriage. So that is it. Like I said, we have also low self-esteem. We know some of our girls, sometimes they insult us. I, for one, I was a victim while I was growing up. Somebody called me while I was in upper six, that is social misfit. I went home. By then, Google was not existing. And I kept asking people,
what is social?
Why did they call me social misfit? Because he asked me, do you have a boyfriend? I said no. He said, you, social misfit. And when I knew the meaning, I was so angry at myself. Then I just told myself, but why would someone tell me something and then I get angry? So I went to my mother, who took her time and explained everything to me. Said, don't worry, at the right time you will do the right thing. And so I grew up with that mentality that I'm going to do the right thing at the right time. So we must learn to build our children's self-esteem. You get the point? Sometimes you remind them, please, I will not like you to end up like myself. I got married at the age of 24. I will not like you to get married at 24. You understand? So we also have to build their confidence based on our own experiences. Tell them, while I was growing up in my neighborhood, people were jeering at me. If your friends laugh at you, it's nothing. Don't bother. Tomorrow you'll be a better person in the society, and then you'll be laughing at them. You know, you try to, because like I said, I am focusing with children in the primary school because that's my specialty. These are the words that we use with these children, so that you help them to build their self-esteem. So much so that if an uncle tells them, like the case that I narrated some time ago here, that the class 6 teacher got a child pregnant, and because he had, we know Cameroon, of course, he knew people who knew people who knew people. So the case just ended. Getting a class 6 child pregnant. An IDP. So we also have to educate our men and our boys. Do we know that some of our husbands too are abusers of these children at home? So much so that when you even call your partner to come, because I remember one of the women I spoke with, she told me, Madam, Mama are not even 1 year. If I just call it, say more talk for picking, they say go. But we know that his children have been telling their mother issues of him sleeping with girls around the community and all of that. So those children have been using that against their father, like, Mommy, they said that Daddy is doing this, they said Daddy is doing this. And so I told her, okay, we are going to use the strategy of you involving him when you want to talk to your kids. But this man never agreed. And so when the wife told me, I told her, then it's an evidence already that he's guilty. That is why he doesn't see how he has to talk about this to his children when that is what he is doing. You get the point? So we must learn to be role models. You cannot be telling a child that don't allow uncle to touch you, and then you go and touch the child. And it means, yes, it means you are, you are doing practicing what you preach, or not doing whatever. So it is necessary. We should not talk about zero sex education at all. We should not even talk about it. It is important for us to include sex education from now on, because we look at what is happening in the society nowadays. It's like, the other day I told one of my friends, I said, it's like every young girl fancies to be a baby mama. every young girl, some sit and are planning, like, I want to have a child. And they have targeted men that they want to have these children with. This is moral decadence. Because an ordinary child who has grown in a Christian home, you will not even think of that, because your mother will kill you. You know,
exactly.
Your mom will tell you, don't. It's a no-no.
It's a no-go zone. And Madam Rita, just to add that some of these men, they abuse even their own daughters. And some of these
that's
siblings, yes, they do abuse even their younger sisters. Reason why, like you said, saying zero sex education should be a no-go zone. Mommy, I think you have something to add on this.
Yes, it should, because I always stand for the fact that we should tell the children what is right. No matter the age, we should tell them. There are children that when you tell them the right thing, they pretend as if they don't know. But they know, and they will work towards that. Because if you say you want to sit in the home and talk sex education with your partner, and the partner say no, it should not stop you from talking to the children. Talk to the children and give them the pros and the cons. Because most often they go in, ignorantly. But if you tell them when they are going in, they know.
They know.
And then they will guard against falling prey. Because like we're saying, you don't start teaching young children about safe sex at a certain age. A safe sex should come at a particular age, that you know that the child can control the whole scenario that they find herself or himself around. But you know, sex education is something we must do, because we've gotten to a point that we cannot turn back. The change is constant, almost move with the time. We must do it, and the earlier we do it, the better. Because if we don't do it, the child gets it from the wrong person and at the wrong time. And most often, like we used to tell, like our parents used to tell us, if a boy touches you or if a man just greets you, you get pregnant. We're scared of that. Because we saw that it was something
and so
very
you didn't even want to have any intimate
nothing.
With
so you saw a girl that grew up to almost 30 years without even having a partner, because the mother has said that you must get only the person that will marry you.
Get married to you.
So those were the morals in those days. What happens? Is it that we parents, we mothers, were failing? I don't think. It's just that we have to work a little bit hard to get there. Because I say, also watch who are the friends of your children. Because peer education is helping to spoil many children. Like Rita says, so you are a social misfit. That's just trying to challenge you. That you know that, okay, I want to be a socially fit person in the society. So I'll look for a boyfriend, or if somebody is talking to me, I'll just accept. No, make your child to understand that you have a goal. And what is your goal? You want to attain a certain level in education. How can you attain? By working hard, by avoiding distractors. Because most often the men and the boys are a distraction. The women are a distraction. Because there are some girls too who also seduce boys to put them into problems. There are girls like that who are morally, I don't know, they are just horrible. And then you ask, what is happening? But mothers, we have a lot to do. We have to do it. Because if we don't do it, the society will do it for us. And we'll have to bear the brunt. Because when the girl is pregnant, even though you're angry, but in the end, you will still take the child. What will you do? Will you throw her away?
You will not throw her away.
You will still take her away. So we must work hard.
Yes, and the truth is that this early sex education, like we are all talking about, one of the reasons why our parents might be shy to talk about it is because maybe they are scared of the unknown, like Madam Rita said. Maybe these children may want to experiment what we tell them. So that is one of the maybe negative effect, or one of the things which scares us from talking about sex education. But we have always known that the abuse does not take away the use. It is important, and the way we talk about how do we introduce sex education to our children, it matters. So I think it is a call for concern for all of us to go and learn how to do that at our various homes. Now let us look at the way forward. What can we do to improve on morals in our schools? Because we are running out of time. We have just 5 minutes left. I'll begin with you, Madam Rita.
Okay, we recommend, like I said, you can get in contact with civil society organizations, because they are actually one of the actors who are very specific when it comes to delivering comprehensive sexuality education in schools. You can get in contact with the civil society organization. It is not payable. It's a free service where they can come and offer maybe once a week, like on Wednesdays during extracurricular activities. They can come and offer their services and then educate these children. It's actually a very long discussion or a long curriculum which can be followed for 9 months, and so it becomes very interesting. I tell you, it is very, very interesting because students want to hear that. At a certain point, you can disaggregate the girls and the boys when it comes to sensitive topics, and you call them the safe spaces, so they can tell you about some of the challenges that they face in the school milieu, because at times, like we said, school administrators and teachers are also abusers of our students. And so when you put them in the same room under the same condition, these girls, they will not tell you what is happening. But when you have them in a safe space, maybe after a few months of discussion, you have girls separately and boys separately, they will tell you the challenges. They will tell you the challenges they face, and through these challenges you can be able to re-strategize on maybe talking now to the teachers and the school administrators separately. Like what happened last year in Lycée Moliko. One of the days they were writing the GC, we learned that we saw traffic at the junction, at the gates, and when we tried investigating, we were being told that one of the male security guards was trying to search a lady before she got into the gate, and then he was harassing her. He touched her breast and her buttocks, and I was like,
but that should
that
not
guy, I said, give him a slap, let the exam end or whatever, you know. So sometimes, sometimes we need to also educate. Like I will go with one of my feminists, Catherine McKinnon, who says that violence continues to occur despite the challenges, despite the education. She is recommending that every woman should be carrying a very small knife, so that just in case you want to be a victim of rape, you use that knife on the object that is inflicting pain on you. Yes. So we need this education, because if we don't educate our girls, they may continuously, because of unequal power relation, they may continuously feel, oh, the teacher has done this, I don't have to speak.
I don't have a voice.
And when the girls don't
do
speak
anything.
out, the more they don't speak out, the more the problems.
Thank you so much, Madam Rita.
Thank you.
Mama Ann Munjong, I would like to have your conclusion on this topic.
I want to say that I'm very glad to have contributed to this, because this has been a very sensitive topic that many people don't want to touch on it. So I'm really glad. I should say I congratulate you for bringing it up in the open, so that we talk to parents. The way forward is that we should know our children. Know your child and let your child know who you are. Try to be a role model to your child. Even if you are a single parent, be a role model that anytime the child looks at you, is I want to be like my mother, I want to be like my father. Because by wanting to be like you, they will grow up morally, and they will ask you questions. How did you attend this? How did you attend it? They will start telling them the right things. So I will just appeal to my parents, especially mothers, that try to be that mother that your daughter will want to be like you, because she saw positive instincts in you, what you are doing. She saw that she wants to be like you. And also open up to your children, especially the girls who are vulnerable, that when somebody start touching you, harassing you, tell your parents that this is what is. If it's a teacher, because like we know teachers have harassed girls, teachers have, sexually abused girls, because they're vulnerable, they're afraid. Even in the university, you know what, that happens right there. If you don't go to bed with me, I will not give you marks. You will fail. That's how this term sexually transmitted marks came up. So tell your child to know who she is and who you are. Then you make her to grow to be like you. So we parents, we need to do a lot to make sure our children copy the good examples that we are. That's what I can recommend.
Thank you so much, Madam Ann Munjong, for your contribution. Madam Rita, it has been a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you for your wealth of knowledge. And to all our audience, we say thank you for watching. And we want to leave you with this in mind, that sex education is not a taboo. And let us see no to zero sex education. Thank you so much, and do take another rendezvous with us next week, Friday at 5 p.m. on Divine Mercy Radio Television. Meantime, you can watch a rebroadcast of this program on Saturday at 8 p.m. Have a good evening.